Alright guys, we have a 2007 328 XI. Replace the steering this clock screen with a steering angle sensor in there. I also replace the air pump on the engine, which is a minor repair. When you replace the steering angle sensor on these cars, you have to do a reprogramming on the DSC. I have connected the battery charger, which is from the Snap one. It has on the flash programming, as you can see right there. The Ista-P is going to show you, step by step of what you have to do. You have the computer connected, everything on the car. It will ask you to remove the key and then put it back together. So far everything's going nice and smooth. I did the saving on the the action list plan. I save it for the customer. I will always do the printout for them so they can have it. And also after the repair or the programming, I will print it out for them. I just wanted to show you, a little bit of what it takes on these cars to get through a simple procedure, which in Toyota will be just connected and install and then do the calibration for the steering angle sensor. But the European cars, they want to make sure everything is 100% corrected because it's based for the for the ABS system, the anti-lock brake system, and dynamic stability control. So it's very, very important. So I will be recording a little bit of the process. I'm sorry I didn't connect it before, but like I said again, it's very easy. You have to connect the straight wiring to your computer. You cannot do this with a wireless, or at least it's not recommended. Make sure that you have the battery maintainer, and Ista-P is going to tell you step by step of what to do. You have to make sure that you are keeping a good battery voltage, 14.2, 14.1 at least. Make sure everything goes nice and smooth. Okay, one important fact that I forgot to mention, well, you already knew about the battery maintainer on the car. That is super important. Also, it's very important that your laptop is connected to power. You don't want to lose communication when you're doing that. Make sure that you have no screensavers that are able, or enable. Make sure that all that stuff is not working when you're doing that programming, because otherwise that will give you a problem. Also, if you have an antivirus, make sure that you cancel the antivirus at least in the meantime you're doing the programming. Super, super important. So far everything is going good. I'm right now on a 42% on that. I already went through the CAS, which is one of the most important ones. The DME went through no problem. This car needed like 8 of the modules to be reprogrammed, just to reflash to a newer version. So everything is going smooth. Hope you guys like the video. I will keep going all the way through the end. Okay, the programming is going smooth again. This is the gateway. It's showing 100%, and it takes a little time to finish, even when it shows 100% of the progress on that specific module. Just want to show you guys that so far we got 4 of the tick marks in green, which is great. That's what you're looking for. And we'll expect the same thing on the gateway. This is just, again, that's an update of all the modules that were not updated for a long time. And on the DSC, it's just a must. You have to do it every time you replace the steering angle sensor, otherwise it doesn't get recognized and you cannot do the calibration of the steering. So far everything perfect. The battery maintainer is working good, so this is the way I like it. Keep going with the procedure. Okay, the gateway went through perfect. Now we're doing that is the CCASK, which is the audio system controller, and then we have after that the AMP, which is the aerial tuner. Hopefully everything goes smooth. I don't see any problems with the car besides for what we're doing. So again, keep an eye on the battery voltage, which is very important. And this process is over 3 hours because all the stuff that was not updated before in the vehicle. So this is a total process of around 4 hours. So hopefully again everything goes smooth. I'll keep you guys posted. So far so good. Alright, a little farther on the process. All the tuner and the aerial tuner are done. As you can see right now, we're in 2 hours and 55 minutes left. All of the top ones are done and no problem. So this is what you're looking for. One thing also that I want to make sure to tell you is make sure that you cleared your windshield, because wipers are going to be working in some of the time that you're doing the coding or update. So make sure that you know that fan is going to come off, the wipers are going to work. So that's normal procedure on the update process with Ista-P. So everything again is going smooth. It's going to be a stopping and playing again so you guys can see the process. That's usually what it looks. You see the tick marks are the ones that are already being done, as of course when they're like green like that. Then you have a little sand clock when the process is going through. This one is just in 4% of the progress, and it goes like that. So each one should go like that, and at the end it's going to give you a result. This, display complete, and I usually go in right here. Let me see if you can see that right here. This one is the one you use to print. I usually just print to a PDF, so I don't have to use paper for that, and just email it to the customer. Okay guys, so that's a little bit more on the process. Okay guys, keep going on the process. We have one error with the global communication. This is most likely to be with the front footwell module. Most likely it's going to have to be replaced and then reprogrammed. So that's going to create an issue with that. That's mirrors and so on. This is something that it might come up when you're doing an update or a reprogram. The module was like that. That's why it's good to save a report before and after of what you're dealing with, so customers understand that you're doing your best, and there's nothing else you can do besides changing the module. Of course you have to check powers and grounds to it and etc., but I already have done this, so I just thought maybe an update for that specific module will correct it, but I guess it didn't. So we have another 2 hours and 35 minutes going for the process of the rest. We have another global communication, which is the CCA, but that is for like the radio and stuff, so hopefully that one will go through good. So we'll see. Alright, so I have another error in there, and the next one is fine. These are most likely, as you can see, it's vehicle communication, so I'm gonna have to check my connection with the most. Maybe there is where resides the issue, and not with the car. So it's not going to be any problems, because as long as it doesn't go through, which is meaning there's no communication in between them, so no update got through those modules because the most couldn't communicate with them. So the way they were, that's the way they will be. So everything else is going smooth. I'm almost done, another 48 minutes to go, so hopefully everything else goes cool. I hope you guys like the video. Again, if you like, please subscribe, and don't forget to like the video, which is also, also very good for the reputation on the channel and everything. Alright guys. Alright, passing those through minor errors. Again, that was most communication. The fiber optic wasn't connected to it correctly, so I'm just gonna leave those two modules, so those two updates in there. The car has been going on with no issues at all for that. It has an issue on the front footwell, so I will try to correct that first, and then again, if that is necessary, I will just come back and do this too, which they should be very quick and easy. So everything going very perfect. Again, the battery maintainer is working very, very good for this. No issues at all. So we have another 40 minutes to go. I got a little bit more of the video so I show you. Okay, this is right now probably in the last steps. It's going over to the transmission module and is also applying the wipers. It's been going on for like maybe 30 seconds or a little bit more. The time remaining is 20 minutes and 56. As you can see, it's in the EGS SMG, so it's probably gonna be a little longer. But this is the importance of having a battery maintainer. I cannot, address that more. It's so important. Have a good battery maintainer, because otherwise it will be impossible. Even with the battery maintainer, you can see the levels of terminal 30 going to like 13.8. Terminal 15, 13.99, but it's keeping up very well, so that should be no problems. Everything's going smooth. Again, just 2 minor errors which will not cause any issues. You don't want to have that, with the DME or the transmission or your CAS, which is super important. Everything's going super good, so I will keep you guys posted. Wipers are off by itself. Probably when they were running maybe for I would say like was at least good 3 minutes. So don't be scared for that. It's completely normal. So transmission is done, transfer case done, dynamic stability control is done. I have to see what the other ones are. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I don't have my other laptop in here. So we have another 12 minutes. Everything good and back to normal. You will hear things coming on and off as completely normal. Don't touch anything, leave the car alone. Make sure the steering wheel is straight. Car in park. Try to keep the doors closed. I always do that. Just keep the driver window open so you can have the wires going through. I usually just set the laptop on the sunroof like that, or one of my benches like this one. In this case, I just use that one for convenience, so no cables are in the way, especially for a long programming like this one. This was probably over 4 hours, so having the computer, laptop and something like this, and then walking around, you don't want anyone to be around but just yourself. Make sure everything goes smooth. Another thing I want to show too is the parts that I've replaced on this repair so far. I also have to replace the transfer case fluid, but that's something I can do after reprogramming. Okay, we have the rain sensor, rain light sensor right here. This was the air pump. Let me show you right here. Let me see what is the BMW group tag. I guess I rip it off. And that's the clock spring and steering angle sensor, all built in one with all the controls and everything in there. So that's why it's so important to reprogram. Everything is OEM. So that's what we're doing, all this repair or this programming too. Let's see where we are on the timing. We got another 6 minutes to go. Everything is going smooth in the rest of the stuff, so pretty soon I will show you the first report before I did all the programming, and then after the final report. Okay, again, all the programming is done. Now it's doing the coding. We have some issues with the most part, but the rest is done. So right now we're going through the CAS, so that's going to be, and it's going to do also the steering angle calibration on the same time. It will ask you to remove the key, turn the ignition off, and then wait for the same program to tell you when to put the key back on and put the ignition on. Don't start the car, just put the ignition on. See, this is kind of like the warning to tell you, said I remove the key. Now let's insert the key with the remote and put the ignition on. So I'm going to do that. Key on, set the ignition on, and you see that pop-up will go off by itself. It's doing the steering angle adjustment. That's perfect. Now it's going to the longitudinal acceleration sensor and all the adjustment. Okay, let me read that. It says on account to the plant control unit, the following post-program operation may be necessary. Initializing the rear power window regulator, initializing the roof function center, continue. That is something I have to carry, subsequently. Important, all doors must be closed, the windows will then be open and closed. Okay, dangerous and unit trap not active during initialization. Confirm the prompts. Okay, alternately use cancel plan to cancel the execution. Okay, in this case I cannot go through that because I have the computer on the roof and I have the power. Let me see 1 second if I can go adjust this so we can do that. I'm gonna have to turn this 1 second off. So we're doing the initiation of the windows, as you can see right there. So what I did is I put the laptop inside. Sunroof is being active too, activated. Just to remove the cable, the power cable from the computer, and I connect it right back on because I don't want any, having any issues with that. This must remain closed during this process. Good. It's asking me to turn the ignition off again and remove the key. These are the last steps in the programming and coding and initialization. Sorry for my English. Initiation of the roof and all that stuff went through with no problem, and the doors. So now it's everything went good. The only code that came back, and I already knew that, was the gearbox oil wear, so I need to replace that oil. Everything else looks good, so I'm gonna click yes in there. And I'm gonna get probably the final report very soon. So again, that warning we have is for the gear, the transfer case gear oil needs to be replaced. That's the only code we have, so I have to accept that because it is existent. It should be almost finishing. It's right now identifying the module. That's the last step they usually do. This took at least over 4 hours, so a lot of work. You have to stay with the car, you have to remove the key, turn the key on. You have to be here. So after identifying that, this is what is coming on right now. So concluding context checked. And this is the final report. So that's the final report we have in here. Let me see what we got. Everything went smooth except for those 2 minor errors. So you guys can see, that is the global communication errors that we have. The rest is in green. Perfect. Again, those 2 are the same thing. Everything went perfect. The only fault memory that we have is with the gearbox oil. And that the control module could not be identified is because the communication wasn't correct, so that's not a problem with that. And that's the only code we have, so everything is perfect. I'm going to save this report. So the final report was saved. I'm now ending the session, which is, everything is done. So we're good to go. I'm going to close Ista-P. Okay, right here. Let me open I want to close the program. Let me get that report. This is the first report that we have. Didn't close correctly. Well, I'm sorry for that. Let me open this in here so you guys can see this was the first report. Sorry for the noise, somebody else is working in the other car. So this is the first report. We need to, program all these ones. Those are the part number and old egg numbers, and those are the new egg numbers. So that's all the stuff that I did today, and then code all this too as well. Again, I saved the report for the customer. And that was the first one. So that's it, guys. I hope you like the video. Again, if you like it, just thumbs up, and please subscribe. Okay, I'm back with the BMW. So I was wrong. Those communications with the mouse are very important to be, because otherwise the head unit will not work. So I got no radio and no navigation, just the BMW sign in there. So I guess I'm just gonna go and run Ista-P. I have to, still just communicate with the vehicle, just turning everything back on. This is the same day. I just moved the car from there. Got another one on the left and just moved it back a little bit. So took it for the ride test. Everything else is fine except for the navigation and radio. So I guess I had to do it. So at least I show you guys I'm not hiding everything. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. Hopefully are correctable. Just reprogram, because there's no communication with those two modules. Of connections, that's what the icon. So I'm gonna click connect. Actually, I double click so it does it automatically. So it's now going to start reading all the modules again. Everything should be in normal condition except for those two. And this is the MOS. It's actually it's right there under the cover. It has a connector that you need to remove and then just plug it into there. So you just remove that little cover, and that's where the connection is. I didn't show you guys that before. So I'm just going to do that, and hopefully that will solve the issues and we get back to normal. But everything else is fine. I replaced the gear oil, and there's no problem. So were any control modules replaced? No. Programming, preparation. Alright, now let's already read all the modules. Now let's determine the measurement plan. It's calculating what it needs to do. The thing with this is, when you're doing a reprogram, you cannot abort and then just go and check connections, and unless it's completely failure. But in this case it was, and so I have to go through the whole process before I can come back and do this. Again, I took the car for a dry test. Everything is normal except for those two. So that's what I'm doing right now. Again, hopefully it's not going to take that long, since everything else went through with no problems. A little over an hour on the programming for the most. Didn't get programming the other time on the first part of the video. It's very important to do that. So make sure when you're doing a full update like I'm doing today, that you have good communication with the MOS and OBD2, which this is the icon. You have to have both connections done in order to do the full update. Otherwise you have to start pretty much all over. It's not like 4 hours like in the beginning, but this is like over 3 hours, so it's kind of like the same thing. That CCC-8 is the one that's taking a little longer, but the rest is okay. So hopefully this time is everything fine, and we get back to normal. Alright, this is pretty much done. It took like 1 hour less of what the he was saying. I have to remove the ignition. Oh shit. I remove the key. It took an hour less of what the software told me. The radio is working now. I haven't tried the navigation, so hopefully that's working again too. I have a couple of codes that says like import activation code and activate a BO that didn't get done correctly, so I need to put the key, enter the ignition on. Alright, the communication center is on and the radio is on as well, so let me put the volume so you guys can hear it. Alright, that was my concern, so let me go back through the wires. Sorry for that. Alright, this will be the end of the video. Again, make sure that you got those most and OBD2 connections always right